When you get into a life where something's changing, something's moving, or it's out of your control, I think that's when you're finally going to open up to your superpowers and to your higher genius. And the way that we do that is to let go.
Hi everyone, welcome back. I'm Michael Sandler, your host on Inspire Nation. Today I'll be speaking with Tama Kieves, freedom ninja, visionary heroine, inspirational best-selling author, and the author of a beautiful daily read, A Year Without Fear. And that's just what I want to talk with her about today, about 5-minute shifts to let go of fear and become inspired and unstoppable. So welcome back to the show, Tama. Are you ready to shine?
I am always ready to shine with you. I am always ready. Any man who wears a pink shirt, I'm in.
So what's the scariest thing that's ever taken place in your life, and how'd you take action?
For me, it was leaving my career. You know, I'd been an attorney. I'd gone to Harvard Law School. I'd graduated with honors. I was on partnership track, and I walked out of everything without a plan to really follow that desire in me. So for me, it wasn't that I was chasing fear. It wasn't like I was, getting something away from me, as much as I knew there had to be another life, and I knew there was something more. And sometimes you get into so much fear about something and so much pain about something, but if you know there's something else, you can do anything. So that fueled everything in my life.
Would you say the fear was pushing you away or calling you forward?
Ooh, what an interesting question. I think both. I think the fear was so painful. It was just that thing of you're in the wrong life, and it's just is so much in pain, and you just feel like, God, there's something wrong. And then there's also that terrible exhilaration of like, I know there's something else. I know there's something else. So I think it's both. I really do. And I think anytime life is falling apart on some level, it's because you're so much bigger, and there's an expansion, and there's something so much bigger. So when things are falling apart, it can seem fearful, but it's actually growth.
I'm going to use a new term here. I'm sure somebody said it before, but I'm going to call it falling together.
Yes.
So we talked about off air. You're like, Michael, what are you doing right now? And I started this giant list of all these beautiful things that are making life feel chaotic right now. But I keep giving Jessica and myself a pep talk each morning that's saying, it feels very off right now.
Yes.
But that's part of the chaos that's leading to new growth.
And the way that it does it, I think the biggest way that it does that is that for me, when you get in enough fear, it's almost like you surrender to something else. When life just gets out of control, many of us are control freaks, and we're trying to map it out, plan it out, figure it out, nail it down, whatever it is. And when you get into a life where something's changing, something's moving, or it's out of your control, I think that's when you're finally going to open up to your superpowers and to your higher genius. And the way that we do that, and A Year Without Fear is a lot about this, is mindset shifts to do it, is to let go. To really let go of trying to control everything and figuring it out and opening up to something more. And for most of us, myself included, that's hard. It's challenging, and yet it's amazing, because that's where everything flows from.
And I want to dive more into letting go. Now I'm going to call you a Course in Miracles gal.
Yeah.
Or Course in Miracles girl.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And so we're often talking about fear and love. Since what you just described here of letting go, I'm wondering, is fear really love in disguise?
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Because from a Course in Miracles point of view, fear is a call for love. Fear is a call for love. It's right. You're so cute. Fear is a call.
Well, I am like a kid in the candy store with you, Tama.
So am I. That's why I recognize it. And so fear is a call for love. It's just that that very often it's just, again, it's which voice you listen to. But for me, when I hear about letting go, it sounds so groovy. It sounds so nice and spiritual. But what the hell does that mean? It's like, I don't know how to let go. I'm scared. This matters to me. And one of the most practical ways I know how to do that is, again, back to that fear and love. It's which voice are you listening to? Which voice are you listening to in your life? Are you listening to fear or are you listening to love? So some of the letting go is letting go of listening to a voice that's not empowering you. And sometimes that voice can sound practical and good judgment and familiar. But I want you to let go into listening to a voice that loves you and guides you and moves you.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. We teach a program, it's a shameless promotion whenever I say it, automaticwriting.com, of where you go quiet, you go into prayer, you put pen to paper, and the answers start to flow. What's one 5-minute way you would give that we can discern what is fear and what is love?
One 5-minute way. I think the biggest thing that you can do in just terms of distinction, not so much a practice, but just a distinction of, that you're listening to the right voice by how it feels. By how it feels. If you're feeling scared or negative or guilty or shameful, it's never your inner guidance. It's never your inner guidance. Your strength never makes you feel lousy. Your strength always makes you feel empowered, alive, engaged. And so I'd always just check in. How do I feel right now? Sometimes my love will ask me to do something I'm afraid of, right? Sometimes, I've had to get up on a stage, and do a speaking engagement where it's like, oh my God, and my love will be asking me to do that, but there'll still be a sense of peace. I might be frightened, but there'll still be a sense of peace, of feeling like, yes, this is the right thing to do. Am I scared out of my mind? Hell yes, but it's the right thing to do. So I'd always be checking into, how do you feel with it?
So let's take the reverse scenario. Let's say instead of it feeling like love is pulling you forward, it is your shoulda, woulda, couldas with a 2x4 that are trying to push you forward. How do you love up even that?
I think that's a beautiful question. And I think if you are drowning in shoulda, woulda, couldas, blah, blah, I think there's something beautiful in that, because I think there's something in you that is still saying, I want this. I want this. I'm meant for more. I know there are opportunities for me. The problem is that we're looking backwards. The problem is that we're looking at what I could have done there, what I should have done there, instead of what's coming now. So I have a story in my latest book, Thriving Through Uncertainty. And I have a story where it was a ritual I did. And I stood in the middle of this stream. I had this woman who was this healer and she was helping me. And I was in the middle right before book tour, and I was really nervous about all the things I should have done and could have done and didn't get done. And so she had me looking down the stream and everything rushing, the water rushing, hitting the rocks. And she was saying, that's all you could have done and should have done and would have done. And then she had me turn and face the other way at the water rushing at me and rushing. And this is all that's coming. And this is all that's available. And this is all that life is going to give you. And so it's just, I think if you're in that place where you're feeling, like I could have done and should have done, there's something beautiful in it, because there's a desire and a potentiality in it. It's just that you're looking in the wrong direction.
It's interesting. So if we're looking in the wrong direction, then we have this desire almost to freeze time, not to be in the now, but to be in the then, what's already taken place, and to dam up the river and not allow anything to come to us because we're so focused on what we shoulda, woulda, coulda done.
Exactly. And not only that, when you're looking in the past and you're looking at that, it's almost like damming the river. You're damming yourself. It's like a damnation, because it's almost like you're deciding what can be. It's almost like you're deciding that was your only opportunity. That was your only chance. That was when it should have happened. And you don't know. There's this beautiful divine timing. There's this gorgeous timing in everything. And you're making that decision that it should have happened then. And I guarantee you, if it didn't happen, it shouldn't have happened then. Because that is like, it happens when it's supposed to happen. And again, we are growing into it. We are evolving into it. There's something so much larger. For me, the whole thing about choosing love instead of fear is realizing on a spiritual journey, on a journey of reaching your highest, deepest potential, it's not just about getting a goal. It's not just about getting to the thing. It's about becoming the person that is alive in that life. It's about undoing every barrier that's ever been there, undoing the pain that's been there. And for me, that's what this journey is about.
That is so profound, because what happens is, and I can hear people listening to the show, and they're in the midst of change. They're looking for a new job, a new relationship. They're struggling with finances. They're struggling every which way. And if we focus on just getting to that goal, we may shred ourselves apart rather than how can I hone the stone of who I am now in this beautiful moment, understanding that this crazy, difficult, challenging, painful, fear-filled time is actually totally exactly what I need in this moment.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And that, to me, that's the distinction between an inspired spiritual life and just ordinary life. Like people are just getting by, just trying to rearrange the circumstances so that you'll feel a certain way. But for me, it's about really living into every moment in this life. And it's realizing that every moment, even if I don't see it that way, is here for my good, is really here for my healing. And it again, from a Course in Miracles perspective, it basically says that the miracle is always here. The love is always here, always here. There's nothing you can do to change that there's nothing you can do that's going to rearrange that. But you may have a block that's in the way of it. You may have a way of seeing that's in the way of it. And what if every circumstance in your life is here to help you undo that, the way you're seeing it, so that you can open up to something else? I'm sure you've been in the experience where, I work with clients and I'm always here and people will always go, I'm so ready, Tama. No, you don't get it. I'm so ready. And it's like, I'm always like, yeah, people who are screaming, I'm so ready, usually aren't so ready, And so,
I'm thinking duck and cover.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, yeah. Because usually, we all hear the stories and it's true. It's the person who like, oh, you know what? I'm so at peace. If I meet my beloved, that would be great. If I don't, I'm so at peace. That's the person who's going to meet them 2 seconds later, right? Yeah. And it's, again, I think it's because it's almost like, to get real woo-woo here, but it's almost like we get into the vibrational aspect of it. You get into that place where you're aligned with that love, you're aligned with that peace, and now you can have that thing.
That's interesting. It's almost like if I took your beautiful book here,
yes,
and I start reading your beautiful book, and we're just hypothetically reading, but if I want to get through as fast as possible and I start turning and forcing they're all going to start to tear.
Yes.
Rather than if I just be with the page,
yes,
be with the words, be with the moment. That doesn't mean I can't do anything and continue reading, but I'm not trying to force the water back uphill.
Yes, that's a great analogy. And in fact, that is why I did this particular book as 5-minute shifts. Because as a coach, I constantly get the question like, okay, Tama, just give me the stuff, just give me the 3 steps, give me the whatever. I just want to change my life this second. And, for me, that's not how this works. It's an incremental shift and an incremental shift and an incremental shift. And so that's what I wanted to do, was to create 5 minutes of changing your brain chemistry, 5 minutes of rearranging the way that you see the universe and see your life. Because if you go deeply into one thing, you'll go deeply into all things. One of the things that, again, Course in Miracles will teach is that, you think you have a problem with your money, you think you have a problem with your relationship, you have a problem with your career, you don't have a problem with any of those things. You have a problem with your mindset. If you shift your mind, everything changes. And so again, we're trying to fix all our problems. And and again, for me, the only problem to fix is our mindset, is the way that we're seeing our lives.
Woohoo! I like that. Deeply into one versus you go deeply into all, which also means, so one of the challenges we have with self-help is, like you said, people come to you for coaching and say, give me the works. But the works is too much. We get to take it one thing at a time. So if you listen to this show and then you go to the next and go to the next and go to the next, and your cup is now not just overfull, but it's the bathtub spilling out over the entire house. Instead, we need to pick one
And you know what we're really talking about here? We're talking about the difference between being in your mind and your brain and like filling the brain with knowledge, and my brain wants information and give me more information and more information. And we're talking about the difference between your brain and information and embodiment. an embodiment of letting this filter through, because it's a conversation, right? It's like like real transformation is, we see the same things all the, like I'll have a transformation or a shift and I'll go like, oh my God, be here now. I get it, and all of a sudden it's like you've seen that 100 billion times, but when you receive it, it's a whole different ballgame. And so for me, it's about learn less, learn less, learn less. This is not again, the linear world, the ordinary world, the mundane world, the world that we are all attuned to and trained to function in is all about the head. It's all about the head, the latest information, the latest 3-step process, the whatever. This work, this life, this grace is really about listening to an inner voice and receiving something and shifting in the moment and being a different presence.
Woohoo. So, and I've got to give a shout out to Jessica, who just yesterday I'm talking with my wife and I say, aha, I've got this thing. And it had to do with some marketing thing or something. And she goes, that's it. You did it again. I keep giving you all these great ideas. You don't take them in. And then later on you said, I just came up with something.
We have that same conversation.
I wasn't ready to embody it yet.
Exactly.
And so it circled back around in me.
Exactly. And when you receive something, when you really receive it, it is an unbelievable experience. It really is oh my God, right? And so again, that's why I really do believe in practice. I believe, look, I've taught A Course in Miracles for 30 years. I've stayed with that material because for me, it's about practice. It's about deepening because again, at the level of the mind, I forget everything. And then to approach it again and to experience it again and to dig into it again, something else opens up. So I think we live in a culture that's so fast and so fast and so fast, and we're missing everything.
So what's one simple practice? And I'm hearing current events going on, which is just this flurry of fear, no matter what side of anything you are in journalism today. Fear, 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 fear. It's just, we almost need to be like Keanu Reeves in The Matrix and lean back, or Neo, and let that fear pass over us.
Boom, 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 in slow motion.
Yes. What's one simple practice, maybe going to A Course in Miracles, that we can do?
If you are doing what you are here to do, you're not in fear. If you are doing what you are here to do, you're not in fear. And so again, we're in fear when we're paying attention to the media, we're paying attention to everything that's going on. But please keep in mind, the media and everything that's going on is coming through a certain perspective. We may not share that same perspective. I certainly can go into fear listening to all of that, but I deeply feel a different presence at different times. And again, there's so much in my own life that I don't understand, that I will feel like, oh my God, if there's a loving presence, how come this didn't? If there were a loving God, would it kill some vast eternal plan if I were a wealthy man? Again, your mind is always just trying to figure these things out. But I think this kind of love is incomprehensible. This kind of love is so much bigger. And that for me, it's always about dropping down into the present moment and realizing right now in this moment, what voice am I listening to? And am I doing what I came here to do? Am I doing what I can do? That's all you can do. Most times people are in fear is because they're focusing on so much that they can't do anything about. And again, with politics, for instance, there will be many people who are guided to do something about politics. Hallelujah. If it upsets you, go run for office, do something. If not, go focus on healing the world a different way. Go love your child. Go write a book, write a screenplay that changes humanity. Do something else. But again, being in the spin and the worrying of fear doesn't help anybody.
There's an expression that I use, which is fear and anxiety are energy or excitement without deliberate motion. It's like being on the starting line and being stuck waiting for the gun to go off, and you're torn apart. But once you start taking a deliberate action, yes, that could be a political action. Yes, that could be saying, I don't have any idea what to do about that, but I'm going to work on my own heart or my family or my child or my career or anything. Once we step forward, that fear starts to melt away and then funnels us in the direction we want to go.
Absolutely, because again, you're either coming from love or fear, and the way to heal fear at any time is to do something loving. And loving, by the way, doesn't mean we're not talking about something that it has to be romantic and hearts and roses. It's just, again, anything that doing what you're here to do, anything taking positive action. When you're in that moment, you're not in fear. And again, the repercussions of that, you can't even imagine. You can't even imagine where this is going to go, because again, we all affect each other. That when we're in a certain state of mind and we're inspired, we connect with somebody else and they're inspired and they're inspired and they're inspired. And that's how this shifts.
Let's talk about trust for a minute here, because they seem to go hand in hand.
Yes.
You're out of your highfalutin lawyer job.
Yes.
And you've got 12 years out where you're kind of sketch, is how I'm going to put it. You're not sure where you're going or what you're doing.
I like sketch.
How do you trust that you're still where you're supposed to be and not start playing, what is it, that 1970s song, To Freak? Freak out?
Freak out!
Exactly. How do we not go there and say, I know there's a loving presence that's guiding me, and even right here, right now?
First of all, I think, at least for me, when people think that they are always going to live in trust and trust and love and joy and grace all the time, I think it's a gorgeous goal. I hope it's true for some people. For me, that has never been the case.
For me, I'm going, oh my God.
Yes. And one of the tenets of all of my work is really about, because I help entrepreneurs and visionaries and leaders and artists and career transitioners, and it's always about, you're going to be in love, you're going to be in fear, you're going to be excited, you're going to be freaked out, you're going to be trusting, you're going to be freaked out. That's the path. So first of all, knowing there's nothing wrong with that, that's the path. That's what's supposed to happen, because we're learning a different mindset. And you don't just undo conditioning of years and decades, if not lifetimes, of thinking in fear. You don't just, read a self-help book, even one as superior as mine, but, even as brilliant as mine are, of just, you don't immediately just shift that. So first of all, if you're going back and forth, that's the first thing I want people to know, is that that's normal. It's okay. But to answer your question, I freaked out the whole time of, you leaving this, status and money and identity and an easy identity, right? You say, oh, I'm a lawyer. Everybody thinks, oh, bingo, end of story. If you're saying, I'm a struggling God knows what, and I think maybe I'm a coach or a speaker or a writer or blah, 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 And so in terms of the trust, the way that I got the trust was, again, what we're saying before. It's like it was the doing. When I was writing, because that was my calling, when I was writing, there was moments that would come that would say, yeah, for this I came, baby. I don't know where this is going. I don't know how this is going to work, but for this I came. This can't be wrong. And so it was always like, that's why I'm always encouraging people, or trying to get people to do the thing they love, to do something that means something to them, because it changes everything. It changes the brain chemistry. It changes the vibration. It changes it is an answer in and of itself. It answers questions without, it's not rational, but it's an answer. And so for me, when I was thinking about it, I would scare myself. But when I was actually in the doing of it, there would be no fear at all. So, and that's still true to this day. It's like, you know what? I still have concerns at different times, at different level concerns, higher level concerns, right? But the work is so right and so good and so beautiful that it's like, I will serve this and I don't care. Plus, the other part of it is, after a while, you have a track record. And after a while, it's like, okay, I have seen so many things happen, so many times where I've had so many fears and things that went wrong, or I thought were going wrong, that went so right and turned around, that at this point, it's illogical. At this point, it is irrational to start saying, I'm not guided, I'm not led, it's not working out. You start seeing how stubborn that ego is, or that, that fearful mind. And so I think it's a process.
Thank you. And when we're talking about here, there's something to me that is, when we lose track of time, not meaning we get lost, but when we're doing something where all sense of time goes away. I'm going to call this God time or love time. You are in the flow or pull for something greater than yourself. That helps you know this is a direction to pursue or at least plug into, because now you're supported. You're in the fire hose of the universe, and only goodness can come from this.
Ah, the fire hose of the universe. I like that. That's gorgeous and absolutely true, because again, the thing that answers fear is a different experience, right? We can argue all day long. You can read the concepts. You can argue all day long about what's true, what's not true. But an experience, that feeling, that knowing sense is what does it, right? And so what you're talking about, that sense of losing that sense of time, like I was never, ever interested in a spiritual path. I'm still not. I mean, like, there's some part of me that's like, oh my God, I can't believe this is what I do, part of what I do for a living. And it's like, I was never, ever interested in it. But for me, what happened was when I started writing, because that was my dream and that was my calling, I felt like I tapped something larger, or something like, oh my God, whatever this is. And I finally started realizing, maybe this is what people mean by God, or maybe this is what people mean by spirituality. And also then I was also more practical, like people would say, well, if you want to succeed, you should try, the spiritual stuff. And I was like, fine, I'll do it. But again, I think it's the experience. That's really what hooked me. It's like, I don't like the terms still, because I don't like the associations of sometimes but again, the experience is what will hook you. And that's all I want for people, is I want them to have their own experience. And the way you get that is follow something you care about, follow some inkling, follow something that's speaking to you, step into the fire hose of the universe.
Woohoo! Some wise man once said that.
Well, wise man once said, yes. No, I think I thought that, Michael. Wait, I thought that.
You go, girl. Yours. I don't need to own any of this. I know it's not coming from me anyway. So, some really cool things here. First off, you were talking a little while ago about feeling in the love, feeling in the fear, feeling in the love, feeling in the fear. I call this the entrepreneurial journey. If you're a true entrepreneur, then 1 minute you're going to go, everything's great, I'm on fire. And the next year you're going to go, I'm doomed, it's all over. But that's actually the spiritual journey as well, which is we forget. We are continuously forgetting and then having to remember, oh, wait, it's not just me. There's something greater than myself. Oh, wait, I'm a spiritual being having a human existence. Oh, wait, the more that we can trust the process and come back home to ourselves, home to that, we'll call it home base in baseball, the greater we start to grow that courage muscle or be able to lean into that fear.
Yes, absolutely. And was there a thought or a question in that?
Oh, I was just going to have you riff off that, but if there was one, it is doubling back. We have trust. We have some forgiveness that we've got to pepper in there. We have self-judgment, because a lot of us, I'll go to myself, particularly in my earlier years, did not exactly have the best track record at success. For myself, I would get close to success, race bicycles in Europe, blah, blah, blah. And then it's cosmically or otherwise, I would pull out a pistol and shoot myself in the foot. Mm-hmm. And I continued to have this tango. And so it was very hard to trust and let go of the judgment of you think this time you're going to be able to do it.
Wow, what a beautiful story. And again, what a beautiful story, because again, you get to be that demonstration. You get to be that demonstration of never giving up on yourself, never giving up on it. I have actually one of my favorite, they're all my favorite, but in A Year Without Fear, there's January 3rd that I usually read in workshops, and it basically talks about...
Would you mind reading it to us?
I can do that. I just need to find my glasses. January 3rd. And I start a lot of workshops this way, because it's talking about exactly what you and I were just talking about. It says, astonish yourself in this lifetime. Discover your own faculties. You did not come here to settle on the sidelines and watch others live their dreams. When did you stop believing that you could have what you wanted? Why did you stop believing? Burn this story. Begin again. You are anointed. You are not alone. Give the universe another chance to give you your chance. Today, I begin again. I am willing to give myself another chance to have what I want. And so I think that's exactly what we were just talking about. No matter how many things have gone wrong, or no matter how many close calls, or no matter how many times you almost did something or whatever, will you give yourself another chance and another chance? Will you give the universe another chance and another chance? Because sometimes failures or opportunities that are missed aren't failures. That's an interpretation, right? That your life may have gone in a completely different direction. If I had been a successful attorney, I'm sure that would have been a great life, whatever. But the level of pain that I experienced in not being able to live that life has given me a depth and compassion and wisdom that I can guide other people with. Because I know the life of dismantling yourself. I know the life of having an identity totally be wiped away and having to invent something, with scraps of paper and twinklings and wishes and hopes and so again, Carl Jung said that where you're wounded, you're gifted. Where you're wounded, you're gifted. And it just really feels like that. Like for you, what makes you such a phenomenal teacher to us, Michael, and a coach is because you've had these near misses and you didn't give up. You didn't give up on yourself. That's beautiful.
Thank you. I'll riff off of Carl Jung, and we'll go with Rumi. The wound is where the light shines in.
I'll raise you, Carl. I'll trump you with Rumi. Fine.
I'll raise you with Rumi, yes. The wound is where the light shines in. Yeah. So if you're listening to this and you're in the depths of despair, in fact, I wanted to ask how we start to pull ourselves up when we're just so freaking exhausted today. But if we can at least recognize, well, Tama and Michael say it. No, is it Joseph Campbell arc? It's the story. There is always this moment. It could be a 12-year part of the arc. It could be a 20-year part of the arc, but it is truly here to serve you. And if you can recognize that, these are the seeds of my greatness.
Yes.
Everything changes.
Yes. And the way that we recognize it and the way that we be with it, because, I know when I'm depressed and I'm like scared and sad, I'd be like, yeah, screw you, Michael, and your pink shirt and your seeds of greatness. Take this seed of greatness and put it where the greatness don't shine, baby.
Sorry, guys.
Hey, I'm from New York, whatever.
And we've all been there. I've been there more recently than I can admit, pounding on the mattress going, why, God? Why?
And so the only thing I personally know of when I'm in that kind of pain, and more than anything, you want to get out of it. You want to feel like, oh my God, just get me out of it. Tell me what program to take, what book to read, what pill to pop, anything. Just get me out of this pain. For me, one of the things that I have to work with constantly is let it be here. Let it be here. Like instead of trying to shove the pain away, right? Instead of trying to make it go away, can I be with it? Can I be with love for myself here? Can I be with compassion for myself? Can I see myself as that hero or heroine right now? Like I'm, like when writing a book that, I didn't know if anybody was ever going to publish, if I was just a crazy person, if I'm just delusional, right? I would have to tell myself all the time, at least you're on the journey, honey. At least you're giving yourself the chance. Even if you're wrong, even if it doesn't go where you think it will, at least you're trying. At least you're daring. At least you're hoping. At least you're dreaming. And so I have, in my first book, This Time I Dance, I have a chapter called The Year of Sleeping Dangerously, because when I left law, that's all I wanted to do was sleep, and it wasn't really sexy, it wasn't really like, what are you doing? What's your brave new life? What's what's your passion project? It's just because I was crashing and I was scared and I was depressed and people always come up to me in bookstores, like at signings, and they'll say, Tama, how long did it last? How long did it last? It lasted as long as I judged it. As long as I judged my experience, it stayed there. When I could finally release the judgment and say, I don't know how, I don't know why, but this too is part of the beauty. This too is part of the journey. And even if it's an ugly moment, how can I be kind or gracious with myself in this moment? And how can I give myself love in this moment? For me, that's when things shift, because pain is from separation. Pain is when I'm separating from the moment, right? And I'm like, just get it away, just get it away. And so somehow it's embracing this moment.
So there's a concept that came to me. I was thinking about coaching from earlier this week, and the name Bob came up. And I had one of my coaching clients who was struggling with some fear. I said, we're not going to push away Bob. We're not going to ignore Bob. Let's put Bob in the passenger seat and go for a ride together. And that's what you did with Scared Tama.
Yes.
Is you said, all right, baby, we're going for a ride.
Yes. And sometimes it's also like seeing everything with love, because I remember an old boyfriend did this for me years ago when I was having my meltdown of, I'd left law and I'm living in a tiny little studio apartment, in Capitol Hill, and, hearing gunshots and just feeling like, oh my God, am I just crazy? Is my life like falling apart? Am I whatever? And he was so kind, and I had just gotten an alumni magazine too from Harvard Law School, and my colleagues, like my apartment is smaller than their bathrooms, and
so Tama 911 used to know me and used to say, what is it this time, Michael? And I'd be like, there's been another shooting. The liquor store across from me has gotten robbed again. There's a crash outside my window.
There you go. But this
So I lived in that same neighborhood, apparently.
That's so funny, of course. But there was a boyfriend that I was with at the time, and he was so sweet. And he looked around, because I was sobbing in a mess, and mucus is coming out of my nose. I'm like, what am I just crazy, thinking I'm going to be a writer and a teacher and a motivational speaker, And he looked around and he said, look around at this apartment. These are the writer's early years. These are the writer's early years. And it was such a beautiful way to see it, It was just such a beautiful way to be with that. And so I'm just inviting everybody who's listening, maybe you're looking at these are the person who's newly divorced. This is your early years in freedom, right? These are your early years in discovering who you are. These are precious, precious moments. The other thing about things falling apart or being in pain, you're really alive in those moments too. There's an aliveness that happens when, and there's also a deep compassion that happens when you're in great pain. You all of a sudden feel a lot of compassion for other people as well. You feel a connection that you may not have felt before, because a lot of times we're all so busy and focused that we're not even in our feelings. And when we're in great pain, we suddenly connect to other people too. So there's a lot of beauty in it, even though it's challenging.
Thank you. There's the term I'm going to use. It's from a movie, probably a decade ago now, a superhero movie called Big Hero 6. And everything's going wrong. They're getting torn apart. They're trying to figure out how to rebuild their lives. And they realize this is our backstory. This is the backstory that now is going to lead us to greatness. We all have our backstory. And if we can remember this one thing, who you are now is not you as an individual. I guess I want to say your environment, your circumstances, your apartment up on the hill. That's where you were in the past that has led to here. What you're doing now is what's creating the greatness to come.
Amen. And some of us are really, really thorough with those backstories. Some of us just research it a lot. But, the other thing also that I do want to say is because I don't want, I know you're not saying this, but I don't want people hearing that our circumstances are the picture of what our whole lives are. That, she wasn't successful because she was in the studio apartment, but she's so successful now because she owns her own home, or blah, 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 right? Like, we're not saying that, because you know what? The person who had the most courage in my life was the person back there. It's easier to do it now, where I am having a track record, and being paid to do this and all of that stuff. She was the one who had the courage. And so again, I was the same successful being back then. I hadn't manifested it yet. I hadn't manifested it in form yet, but that spirit and that knowing. And I think a lot of what we're talking about is staying in that knowing, no matter what the form is. The forms are going to fluctuate up and down, but staying in that knowing, staying in that relationship. For me, it's to my spirit. For me, it's to my inner teacher. For me, it's to that love that has always led me somewhere beautiful. It's staying in that knowing and staying in that relationship, no matter what's going on. And when I'm in that knowing, I show up very differently. I show up in every circumstance very differently.
Awesome. I've been thinking a lot, going back to this knowing here, I've been thinking a lot about dopamine lately and how we're addicted to certain things. And one of the things that we're addicted to is picking on ourselves, creating drama and creating an adrenaline response by keeping ourselves in the pain, in the fear. How do we actually get past that addiction to step forward into love?
Yeah, it's absolutely, it's an addiction. And like an addiction, it's just so habitual. It's just I think what's really scary, and again, since we're doing a year without fear that is why I did 365 mindset shifts. For me, it's just breaking the trance. It's breaking the trance of the familiar, where when I'm in that pain and I'm in that fear, it seems so real. It seems so, focused. It seems so this is all there is. But what I want people to know is that you have other resources and you have this extraordinary mind. And if you focus on something else, that's why, in the book, it's like, I'll do 365 different mindset shifts. Literally, it's just a focus of thought. If I can get you focused on something else, you literally start to shift that. You literally start to move it. So again, it's just breaking the habit, because and again, it's also not responding to it like it's real. Like you said, that dopamine and that, come on, you got to do something. When people are in that place, and some of us, may have that in our workplaces, the person who's always in drama and always in crisis, or I'll have clients sometimes that are always in crisis. And my job is always I'm not going to meet the crisis. I am not going to see them as the crisis. I'm going to see them as the Christ. I'm going to see them as the love. I'm going to know
they are their savior.
Right.
They are. We are each our savior. Exactly. It's all inside of each and every one of us.
Exactly. It doesn't help me if I'm in crazy fear and you meet me with a crazy immediate response. That doesn't help me. But if I see the strength in you and the love in you, and I'm not responding to that craziness, it just changes it. So again, actually there's a concept in A Course in Miracles that's called true empathy. And it's always about, I don't empathize with your fear. I don't empathize with your crisis. I empathize with your strength. I know who you are, right? And so it's always that. It's like, it's not getting tricked. It's just not getting tricked into believing that old habit. And so for most of us, like what we're talking about constantly, it's a practice. It's just a practice. And you are going to fall for it every time. And then you're going to pick up again. And then you're going to pick up again. And for me, the excitement about this, what really breaks it, at least for me, is, again, it's the experience. You start having different experiences because you're making different choices of mindset. And it's like, oh my God, I've gotten hooked on that. I like feeling good. I like feeling strong. I like feeling peaceful. I don't know about you, but I used to think peaceful was boring. I used to think peaceful would be the booby prize. Like, oh, I don't want that. That sounds boring. But it's like, oh my God, peace allows you to do anything and everything.
Woohoo! we're writing a book right now, and very excited about it, called The Open-Hearted Warrior. And it's about dropping your shields and leaning forward heart first. Mm-hmm. How would you encourage people to become an open-hearted warrior?
I come at it always from the place of finding your calling. So that's my jam, right? And so for me, that's how I've done it. Is I lean into dropping my defenses by trusting what I love, by trusting what I love, by following what I love, by doing what I love. It makes me drop those defenses because I'm called to that love. And again, the more you open up to that, and again, it just hooks you. You want to do it. It's like the more you do it, because I think a lot of people feel like, oh my God, not having defenses is weakness, right? Like I'll be in weakness, I'll be in vulnerability. But I know, for instance, in the path of like finding and following your calling, the more that you do something that you think is risky, that you think is dangerous, that you think, oh my God, I love it, but it's so scary, it actually gives you a strength that is untouchable.
One of my favorite quotes from your book, to cut you off here: if you want to experience magic, you have to take a risk. From Tama Kieves.
Right on. Yes. yes. And it's true. It's just true, is that a lot of times the very thing that you think is going to scare you most in love, in any kind of love, maybe in relationship, maybe with a child, maybe with building a team, maybe with doing your calling, it's going to get you into that experience that you find a strength you didn't even know you had. Because again, I believe that your inner voice is always guiding you to your greatest strength. It's always guiding you to your deepest, most powerful self, which you may not know. And it usually goes through the doorway that you feel scared because you don't want to leave the home ground. You don't want to leave the self you know.
It's fascinating. I think you may have actually answered my next question here before we get
because
to
I'm
where
that
you go
good.
to get people.
I'm that good,
Yes. In this society, we have often had that flame snuffed as best as others can, as best as society can, as best as parents, well-meaning though may be, that says, don't go to the love, go to the logic, go to the thing that's going to make you go to the. And maybe what you're saying is, if people are saying, they're listening and they're going, that's great, Tama, that's great, Michael, but I can't feel the love, I can't find the love, it's not in there anymore, you might actually say, go to what scares you most.
Ooh. I don't know that I would say that because I'm too timid. You might say that.
I've done that. I've lived that. There's a lot of intestinal fortitude involved.
I'm a much more neurotic, timid soul than that. What I would say when people can't feel the love, because I've worked with a lot of people that are like that, that like Tama, I would give anything if I knew what I loved. I'd give anything if I knew what it was. Usually when somebody's in that place, they're numb. And they're usually numb because they're exhausted, they're in pain, they've been denying themselves for so long, trying to be something they're not for so long. So again, I would still go to the love, but it may not be the love of, oh, go write a novel, oh, go do this, oh, go take a trip to Europe. It just might be self-love. It might be, if you can't feel the love right now, be kind. Be graceful, take a bath, be kind to yourself, self-nurture, sleep, get rest. And the biggest thing with that is let go of self-judgment, let go of self-judgment, let go of self-judgment. It's really hard to say, I'm not feeling it, I'm not feeling it, I'm not feeling anything. And it's like, because you're amped up like that. Again, we think it's this instantaneous process. And it's like, I'd want you to slow down and say, it's okay, I don't need to feel it right now. It's okay, I don't need to have it right now. If I needed to have it right now, it'd be here. And so same thing, like for me, I'm a writer, and I'm sure you experience this. I am not creative all the time. Magical thought that is, but I am not that creative all the time. Just because I have time to write doesn't mean all of a sudden I'm on fire. I've had to learn to have this incredible presence next to me that is lack of self-judgment, that says, it's okay, honey. Write dreary sentences. I don't care. Write, don't write a bestseller right now. I don't care. Just do anything. If you take the pressure off, I promise you, love kicks in. If you take the judgment out of anything, I promise you, love kicks in. It's just there. We are trying so damn hard. We are so damn tired. We are all trying to do so damn much. Self-help in some ways has made us believe that we have to have this optimized, ideal, perfect life in 5 steps. And again, I would just take the pressure off.
All right. Any last words of wisdom, Tama, that you want to share with people?
Last words of wisdom. I think I'll just key off what we were just talking about earlier of that giving yourself another chance. I think if I could say anything right now to anybody listening, it's like, it is so easy to give up. It is so easy to get discouraged, especially in the times we're living in, like you said, with the media and everything being so noisy. But the world needs you now more than ever before, and we are waiting for you. We are waiting for your gifts, and they are all there. And it's really easy to get discouraged, but that is part of what this journey is. We are the people who are shifting reality. All of us who are in this soup, in this journey of thought by thought by thought, we are daring to shift this reality. And that is so courageous and so meaningful and so worthy. So I think the main thing I would say is never, ever think that something you love or want is frivolous. Never, ever believe that something you want is make-believe or too much. You know what you're here for. You know what you came for. You know what you're meant to be. And please, in your lifetime, give it another chance.
Woohoo! Awesome, awesome, awesome. You're on fire. You're always on fire. And I can hear your ego going, no, I'm not. But when you're on fire anyway. So, this is awesome. Would you mind leading us in a guided meditation? And if you're driving down the road, do this later.
Yes. Yeah. Absolutely. I'm not going to be responsible for that, right? Like, they meditated into their grandest reality, the ultimate reality. Let's not do that. You know what? Why don't we do a meditation since we're talking about giving another chance? Let's do a meditation on that. We'll just do a quickie. All right. So let's just take a moment to settle down and let go of everything. And if you can, just breathe in to the deepest part of your true self. Breathing all the way into your essence, and then just letting go. If it helps you at all, you might place your hand on your heart or any other gesture that is comforting. Any other gesture that connects you with your intention in this very instant to connect to something else. And together we are holding this space, breathing in into the core of your beingness. There is a place within you where you are untainted. There is a place within you where you are limitless. There is a place within you where you are safe. And perhaps you will begin to tell yourself, I am safe. I am safe. I am safe. There is nothing I need to do. There is no particular way I need to be. This love is already here. This grace is already here. This infinite freedom is already here. Let yourself be for just a moment. Absorbing the knowledge that you are so loved. I am so loved, even when my mind doubts it. I am so loved. And I am willing to give myself another chance right now. I am willing to give myself 1,000 chances and 1,000 more, because I am worth this lifetime. And there is an inner voice within me, an inner love, that is always guiding me. Breathing into your essential self and letting go. Breathing in and letting go. And if your mind wanders, that's fine. There's no way to do this wrong. There's no way to do it right. And as you breathe into this presence, perhaps allowing yourself to feel, where is it that I want to give myself another chance? Where do I want to believe again? Where am I afraid to open my heart? Where am I afraid to trust? Where would it feel so good to know that it is coming true, that it is real, that I can have it? And perhaps together, as we co-create this space, we are calling on the infinite love within all of us, and we are connecting together as true family. And we are calling on this presence to help each other. I am willing to begin again, Spirit. I am willing to begin again. I am willing to trust, and where I cannot trust, I am willing to invite you to help me to open that door. And just for a moment more, allowing yourself to be here. Breathing in, breathing out. Letting all the words go, breathing into the core of your beingness, your knowing. I am willing to give myself another chance. I am holding that invincible clarity in this moment. And see if there is anything that your inner voice would have you know in this moment. Is there anything that your inner voice would have you know in this moment? Perhaps it comes as an image or a word or a feeling. Perhaps it comes now. Perhaps it comes later. It always comes. What would you have me know? What would you have me know? I'm listening. I'm receiving. What would you have me know? And just for a moment more, we rest in this time. And breathing in, allowing yourself to begin to return to this space and time when you feel ready and in your own time. Feeling this feeling and this knowing, activating this space, giving yourself this new chance. Because you are worth 1,000 chances and 1,000 more. And allowing yourself to return when you feel ready and when it's right. Yummy.
Woohoo.
Thank you.
Thank you. This has been wow. My inner child said it best.
It's always a trip to the candy store with you.
Now, here's your chance to shine, Tama. Where can people go to find out more, to find your books, to find your programs, to find world domination from Tama Kieves?
I'm Tama Kieves, baby. Best place to land is the mothership, tamakieves.com. All my books are also on Amazon. They're all over. But please sign up. Please sign up for the newsletter. We do digital fortune cookies that come out that just give you these great little sayings once a week. And we do a monthly newsletter that will get you fired up and give you some really great tips. It also tells you where I'm touring, if I'm in your city, if I'm speaking, doing workshops. So I do retreats all over. So I'd love to meet you personally. I'd love to have you in one of my programs. I'd love to have you join me. I'm also on social media. We've created a tribe of thousands of people who are daring to live from inspiration instead of fear. And I hope people join me.
You mentioned there was a 365-day program, audio something.
Something. So we do a program that's been super, super popular. That's based on A Year Without Fear, my book. I do guided meditations in all my classes, and people were begging me, "Would you ever do? Would you?" So I finally did a program that's 6-minute guided meditations for every passage of A Year Without Fear. So it just takes you on a guided journey, and I deliberately did it as 6 minutes so you wouldn't have an excuse to say, "Oh, I don't have time. And so they're all different. They're downloadable. You get to keep them. It's usually $179 on my website for the year, but I'm doing it for $99 here through Inspire Nation if you order. So it's just a way to shift your mindset every single day. And I've had people who will just say, "Oh my God, I didn't even get off day 4. I love day 4. I just keep using that over and over and over." So again, if you've ever wanted to meditate or you want a different kind of meditation, it's just and also the music goes longer so that if you're in the meditation, you can stay longer with it. But it's just, I cut off at 6 minutes so that, again, that you have that time requirement. Also, a lot of people love to use it for journaling and prompting your creative stuff. So anyway, thank you. Thank you for asking.
So for everyone out there, this is Michael Sandler saying, be well, have fun, get a year without fear, and begin becoming inspired and unstoppable today. And shine bright. Woohoo! Awesome, Tama. Awesome. I
adore you. I'm so grateful that you exist, and I love what you're doing, and to be continued. So, mwah.
I hope you enjoyed the fire hose of an interview with Tama Kieves as much as I did. Oh my God, is she an awesome spark plug. To check out more inspirational interviews, click here, subscribe below, and be sure to click on the bell icon to be notified of upcoming shows. Leave your comments and questions below. Shine bright. Love you guys.